Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears and the pantheon of perilous pickups. We are here with my 1982 Chevy S-10, and in the last video you saw me tear down this motor with a mission to rebuild it. Well, not fully rebuild it, but more tear it down, give it a refresh, slam it back in as cheaply as possible. In the last video, we got the motor out, we had it disassembled, we started to clean everything up, reinstalled new piston rings, installed new rod bearings, and we honed the cylinders. Now, that's where I did a whole lot of things that may be controversial. As of recording this video, that video actually hasn't gone live yet, so I haven't seen all of your wonderful comments, but I'm sure they're going to pile up over time. Now, obviously, if I were going to do this again, I would do things a little bit differently. For one, I probably wouldn't even do it myself. Two, I would probably use a ball hone, not the 3 stones. A lot of people have differing opinions on that, and they're not necessarily wrong, especially if you know more than me. If you really do know more than me, yes, you know more than me, and yes, I'm wrong. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that I am in any way an authority on this matter. I'm absolutely not. But what I can tell you is that I'm pretty confident that I didn't make it worse, because this truck wasn't running. We still don't know if it runs yet, so right now this is still kind of a Schrodinger's truck, but we're going to find out by the end of this video. And once again, I'm recording this intro out of sequence. A lot of work has been done since we last left off, so I can't pick up the camera and walk around without spoiling all of the work. So we're just going to take a step back in time to a point where I was a little more younger, little more naive, and feeling a lot better about the decisions that I'm about to make, because I made some mistakes, and you're going to see coming up in this video. Let's get right into it. So to begin painting the valve cover and oil pan, we've moved on over to my professional paint booth, which is, of course, my 1976 Triumph TR7. Hope I don't get too much overspray on the windshield, but you can see I've laid it all out for our new color. It's going to be kind of fun to have a new color on the TR7, because we don't have that teal anywhere yet on this car. We've got gray, we've got black, we've got some Ford blue up there, we've got some glitter, but no teal. So let's get going. Let's get to the good stuff. We all know that the second I touch this nozzle, Santa Ana winds will take over. No! Oh, fuck. Fuck, that's not good. Let's just make the best of this. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. That sucks. Well, that was $15 worth of paint well spent. Look at that. I think I improved the TR7 unintentionally. What a stupid thing to happen. I've never had the cap explode just from giving it a little tap on something. So that was a first. Obviously, we've got a lot of runs on the pan and a little bit on the valve covers. But we'll give that just a little bit of a wet sand once that dries, and then get that all evened out for a second coat. And hopefully the second coat won't be that exciting. Wow, that was really stupid. 2-piece seal arrived at the auto parts store this morning, and we're ready to begin reassembling this engine. This is a good time to talk about something. The right way to do this would have been to just send this whole thing to the machinist and have it built at the machine shop, really. But here's the thing. This truck entered my garage broken and worthless. So the worst case scenario here is that the truck leaves my garage broken and worthless. You know, either way, whatever the outcome here, I learned a lot, and I'm also probably never going to do this again. This is a lot of work. I took vacation time. I doubted myself every step of the way. I'm having a hard time finding information and finding parts. And just the amount of time that I sank into this is probably worth it to send it to the machine shop if it weren't an 82 S10 2.8 motor. But if I'm really lucky, I may have done it right and we won't burn a bunch of oil. We'll pass smog. We'll have a truck that's on the road for at least 2 years. And that will be a mission accomplished if I'm really lucky. And so between researching on the internet and asking various experts, I have been getting just a wide range of answers. Everything from, oh, I've sent way worse than that, and the car's still on the road, to you've definitely ruined it, you need to junk the block. So, and everything in between. So did I do it right? No, absolutely not. I'm learning as I go. This is the very first time I've ever done this, and you know, you got to learn somehow. So let's put this motor back together and send it and see what happens. The new oil pump has arrived, but the oil pickup tube and the tool to install it are going to be another 2 days, which really sucks because that means I'm still blocked despite being all excited about having the pump. There's nothing I can do about it right now. So we have to figure out what am I going to do with my time. Today, while I was waiting for the pump, I was cleaning and painting parts. This is one of the motor mounts, the one that I can't put on because of the oil filter housing that I am having trouble finding a gasket for. But I have been painting other parts. You see the oil pan over there. We have valve covers in here. I have cleaned the fan shroud. I'm not going to paint it. I'm just going to clean it. And over here we have, well, the front of the truck. This looks really, really good. This was just, again, me killing time. I had a lot of time today because I was waiting on something that I'm going to end up having to wait 2 more days on. So the next thing I want to do in terms of the frame is get some rust neutralizer on the inside of the frame, just like we did on the Camaro. Outside, we have some more parts that are on the paint rack here. We have the transmission crossmember thing here. This is fully coated. It's primer, enamel, clear, and rubberized undercoating. And these are enamel, primer, enamel, clear. So these are all done. They're ready to go back in. I can probably clean more parts if I want to, but I really don't want to. Oh yeah, you also may have noticed that I painted the engine block. Again, not perfect, but it's much less bad than it was before. So I'm not going for perfection. This is not a restoration. I'm just trying to make it less crappy. And I think I definitely made it less crappy. And I don't know if the camera is picking up the color correctly, but it is teal. It is not baby blue. Now, while I'm blocked with the bottom end, I could also work on the top end, except I'm blocked there too. I am waiting for a new timing chain because I don't want to put the old stretched out timing chain on there. So once that arrives, we'll be able to set the lifter, the valve lash, and we'll be able to put the intake manifold on from there. So that means for the next 2 days, I have two options. I could either rebuild the carburetor, or I could do wiring in the truck because we have a lot of wiring to resolve. Now, the carburetor, I know this is going to piss me off. I just, like, this is so complicated. The other option is to work on wiring. So we're probably going to work on wiring. Moving back over to the engine bay here. We did have a little fire before I got the truck. What happened was this HVAC wiring, like it cracked or something, like, and then it was a hot wire that cracked and it hit against the ground strap, which was bolted in up here. And so that's what caused the fire initially that melted the back half of the motor. That's also why I painted the firewall. Well, I need to repair this if I want heat and ventilation. I don't have air conditioning. This truck doesn't come with it. But there's also a lot of other sketchy wiring happening here. Like this is just like exposed, partially burned, and this conduit is melted. So there's a lot of things that I can do here. There's a lot of good that I can do without pissing myself off working on a carburetor. Well, I finished repairing all of the wiring, and well, as it turned out, I found myself kind of guessing with this run of harness here. Wasn't exactly sure where everything runs quite yet. So I don't really want to commit to running more conduit until I have the motor in, until I have things, until I know exactly where all this is going to go. The most important one that I repaired was this one, the HVAC box. Well, heater ventilation box. That's because, like we saw earlier, these wires were very close to this grommet, and this grommet is the biggest grommet I've ever seen in my life. And, well, I did give it a little bit of a circumcision. It helped a little bit in that I was able to push it in and then feed it up into the dashboard. It was just so long that once I cut that extra tip off, it was able to just kind of barely slide out. Last thing I did today was coat the insides of the frame rails as much as I could. I got about here, and then from underneath, I came into right about that support right there. So it's not a full job, but it's definitely, I got the section that is going to be the hardest to get to once I have this truck back together. So I'm satisfied with the progress there. I would really like to replace these motor mounts, but it looks like it involves taking the suspension apart, and I really don't want to do that. So I think these motor mounts are just going to stay. I think I even bought new motor mounts, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. The new timing chain is in, and first I got to say, I could really get spoiled by new parts because not only is everything really clean, but I can see timing marks. So on the sprockets, we've got a timing mark here, a timing mark here, we've got a timing mark here, and then we've got this line between them. So to time this engine, you just line them all up to each other, and then the motor's in time. From there, we're going to set TDC, and then we can set the valve lash on the lifters, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm actually kind of excited because I've been waiting for this for a long time. I also swapped out the sprocket. I used the old sprocket on top of it in order to install this thing. I just kind of set it over it and then tapped on it with a hammer. So I'm going to set the camera down, and we'll torque these down to 20 foot-pounds, which is what Google AI told me to do. That's the best source of information right there. AI. Definitely get engine building advice from AI. You definitely won't blow up your motor. First of all, I am aware that I'm an idiot. I needed to put the timing chain guide on before I did anything. Second, I needed to hang the chain on the top sprocket before doing anything. So it's all on now, and I've torqued everything down. This to 20, that to 18. Actually, I'm lying. That's also to 20. I didn't want to reconfigure the bar torque wrench. You also may have noticed that I rotated around an entire rotation, and that's fine because the valves are all closed. None of these did anything. So now we can set the valve lash, which is a little unnerving. The first thing I want to do is make sure I am at top dead center. Luckily, I don't need to stick anything in the spark plug hole because I can see the piston in here. The camera may have a hard time seeing it, but I can see it plain as day. So I'm just going to make sure this is at TDC, which I'm almost certain it is, and then we'll be able to adjust our valve lash from here. So first of all, I'm going to give a huge shout out to Mitch Nelson on YouTube. Check out his channel, subscribe. He has a lot of really great information on engine building. So I learned all of this from him. He had a really helpful whiteboard to the point where I copied it down, adapted it to the 6-cylinder here that we have here. And so with the motor at TDC, we are rocking cylinder 1, which is going to mean that we're adjusting cylinder 4. So when we rock a cylinder, we're going to have valve overlap. And that means we might go just a little bit past TDC. We want to see the valves, intake and exhaust valves, start to move, start to both open up. And it's literally a hair past TDC is where you start to see it happen here. And that means we're going to go over to cylinder 4, which is this one right here. And we're going to tighten up the rocker arm to the point where the lifter doesn't move. And once we get it to that point, it doesn't move up and down. It may spin back and forth a little bit. Once we get it to that point, we give it another 3/4 of a turn in order to preload it. So let's set this down. Get our, I believe that's a 15 millimeter. A little bit more. All right. All right, now we're going to give it 3/4 of a turn. We're going to start down here, which means 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. So we're going to have the handle pointed that way. Boom. Very unscientific. All right, so cylinder 4 is adjusted. So we need to move on with our chart, and I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff. I'm just going to skip to time lapse, and you can watch me do it wrong for 5 more cylinders, and leave 5 more comments about how I'm doing everything wrong. The good news is I'm not getting any binding, and I'm hearing things moving, and I'm feeling air coming out of cylinders. So I think I have all the information I need to know that I am okay for now. Let's double check to make sure that everything is all lined up in time, which is going to mean another 1/2 a rotation. Yeah, it looks like we're good. The next thing we want to do here is put our timing cover on. And that is because we can't seal up the bottom end without the timing cover because the oil pan gasket runs along the bottom here. So let's get this put on. Well, since we're just never going to get this bottom end sealed up ever in my lifetime, let's put... I don't even know how this goes on. I don't even know what goes where, but let's try. This is, oh, Jesus fuck. Is this for real? Is this for real? This is real. So I need to undo all of the work I did this morning in order to, man! Oh, just what a pisser. Can I work it in underneath? No, not really. No, I can't. No, I fucking can't. I need to take the I guess I was just so fixated on learning how to do this for the first time. I guess I'm going to get really good at it because I have to do it again. I bet you knew I was going to have to do that. Go ahead, laugh it up. We're going to dry fit this right now. I'm not putting any sealant on right now because, yeah, I have to remove that bracket that I just put on. I'm going to undo yet another thing that I did earlier today. So, very cool. Nice thick bead of goop on both sides. Maybe a little more goop there. Oh, I'm just going to fuck it up. All right, let's just plop it down. Okay, which way does the water pump go? Water, or the water outlet? Go like this. I put it on backwards last time, didn't I? One last check of the surface. Yeah, we're good. Plop. I think our goop job will hold. I know at least a couple of these need thread sealer, but I'm not really concerned with that yet. I can always back these things out one by one. What I really wanted to do was to get some torque on them so that the gasket goop settles in. And then once I know which ones need the thread sealer, we'll just pull them up. I'm pretty sure it's this one and that one or something like that. That's what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, that's better. Well, it looks like we have the top end just about done. We still have to rebuild the carburetor, but the carburetor is actually off to my friends at Smith Brothers for a rebuild. Everything else is together. I've got the intake manifold on, the valve covers are on, and I guess I could start putting up some of the accessory mounts, but really the next big thing for the motor is going to be the work on the oil pump. And while I have the parts, I have the oil pump and the screen, and I've already measured out the screen. I don't have the tool to mount the screen into the pump. Now, there is a trick to doing it with a wrench or something, and I've tried it a couple of ways, and I started to bang up the tube way more than I prefer, so I am just going to wait for the tool. Another reason why I'm just going to wait is because I still have not resolved a new seal for the oil filter housing gasket. That too is at Smith Brothers. They are helping me find that. So while we wait for all of that, we can move our attention back to the interior and do a little bit of cleaning. Inside the truck, you see I have done a little bit of cleanup around the transmission tunnel there, but we still have a lot to do in the driver's side footwell. We still have a lot to do on the passenger side of the dash, done a little bit to the driver's side of the dash. Now I'm going to show you all of the products that I use and how to use them and how you can use them to make your truck looking less crappy as well. Every good detailing kit starts with a proper degreaser. So all we have to do is put our degreaser in this bucket. And that's probably enough degreaser. We take this inside. Now, along with our degreaser, we have our premium set of detailing brushes here. And so all you have to do is quite simple to get a good detail on your truck is you use our premium brushes here with our degreaser, and you use that to agitate the dirt. Once you've fully agitated the dirt, The degreaser and the dirt just simply wipes away with our exclusive microfiber towels. So you just wipe it away, and like magic, your vehicle is now less crappy. Now, if you order now, you can have all of this. You can have the degreaser, the exclusive detailing brushes, and our premium quality microfiber towels, all for the low, low price of $39,999.95. Order today because supplies are limited. But wait, there's more. If you order within the next 5 seconds, I will include a can of oil remover and paint preparation spray. How do you think I got this engine block looking so perfect? Order now, $39,999.95, and all of this can be yours. Since we're stuck waiting for a few days for parts, I want to talk a little bit about what makes this truck special. Now, I've talked about it before in previous videos, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I definitely want to acknowledge it. A few years ago, I bought the house next door to me after my neighbor moved away. And during the remodel process, I was using my Jeep and a trailer to make runs to the hardware store. So I needed a truck. And so I, was looking around for a truck and had made an offer on my grandpa's truck that fell through. And shortly after, my Uncle Doug said, come take this S-10. Really because he just wanted an excuse for me to get up there and to hang out with him. It turned out I really enjoyed hanging out with him, so I would make regular trips up there to visit him. I'd go up there with my cousin so that she could clean her fish tank and also visit with her dad, and it was just really special time, and really glad that it all worked out the way it did. Shortly after he gave me this truck, he tragically passed away, and now instead of having his truck, I have 3 of his trucks. So that just means that the story about this truck is now mine to tell. It's special to me because of the time in my life that I needed a truck and someone stepped in and said, here, come take this, no strings attached. And what developed from that experience was something I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life. This truck, because of that experience, is meaningful to me. Now, as of recording this, I do not plan to keep this truck forever. I want to fix up his pickle truck, which is the 1950 Pilot House that is swapped onto an 87 Dakota frame. A really cool custom project that he built himself, and that's the one that I want to keep forever. But this one, for me, it will be special not only because of that experience, but because I'm hoping to give it another life. I'm hoping that when I am done with this truck, once I have the pickle truck running, that I can get this into the hands of somebody who will appreciate it. Now, since we're talking about family stepping up and giving me things that they had zero obligation to give, and just being really, really amazing people, it turned out my Uncle Donald, Doug's brother, had a 91 S-10 Blazer. And it was a 4x4. It was, a kind of a nice truck. I don't know the exact circumstances behind it, so that's all I know is that it was in a severe accident and totaled. And he never got to put the fender flares on it. So he gave me his fender flares. This is really cool. Let me pick up the camera, and I want to show you just how cool this truck looks with S-10 Blazer fender flares. This is going to be a perfect fit. So all we really need to do is find some fasteners. I think self-tapping screws around that size will work just fine. This is what the fender flares look like on the truck, and I have to say, they just look like they were made for this truck. It's perfect. Well, not 100% perfect. There's a little bit to resolve here. I have to fabricate a little piece to screw to the actual fender there so that I can fit the bolt holes in, or I could just drive self-tapping screws through the plastic. I'm not sure I want to do that, but we'll see how I feel when it comes time to do the brakes. The tool finally arrived to install our oil pump pickup screen. So I've already marked it off. So that means all we need to do is smash it in here. So I just got to line up the marks that I made. And this is probably going to be annoying because it's going to flop around. And yeah, I'm expecting a little bit of pain. It's actually going in now. This is not a pleasant experience. I never want to do this again. These stupid oil fucking... It's not going anywhere. Come on out. There you go. Come on, come on. God, I never want to do that again. Well, at least I didn't install it backwards. May not be in the right position. But let's torque this thing down to 80 pound-feet of torque. There we go. And now we have to find out if we're bottoming out. If it sounds like I'm dead inside, well, it's because I am back to work. My vacation is over, and I did not finish the engine. But I'm very, very close, so this is actually, despite me sounding like a zombie, this has been the only thing that I've wanted to do. And I am very excited to see this motor come together. I don't think it's making contact. Let's pull it up and see if we got a grease mark. Whoop. Nope. We are bone dry. Boner dry. So that's a good sign. So next up, I want to give it one last measure to make sure that it is not half a mile off from the bottom of the oil pan, because it very well could be way, way off from where I thought it was. That's, yeah, that's almost a ½ inch below. The next step, the last step here, is my favorite, and that is to put the gasket on, close this up, and never look back. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to put some ultra black on both sides of this gasket. For one, because it's definitely slipping around a lot. And two, because I like this stuff. I've used it on everything. And I'm just going to be a little bit generous with it. I mean, I'm not going to cake it on, but I'm also not going to be shy about it. Now that the oil pan is on, the next step is to find all of the bolts that I took off of it. Good luck with that. Hopefully I find it before the RTV sets. Huge thank you to my friends at Smith Brothers for this oil filter housing O-ring. This was pretty tough to find, and, well, it looks like it's going to fit. Definitely better than we thought it was. So while I was waiting, I put some accessories on, and then I took the alternator off because it was a little heavy. And I painted some things a little bit more and put the EGR on. I also put the thread sealer on the intake manifold bolts where it was required, I believe. Hopefully, we're on the downhill from here, because once I get this on, the next step will be to reassemble the torque converter, the flex plate, and bolt it up to the transmission. So as you can see, I've got the transmission bolted up to the engine, which also includes, obviously, the flex plate and the torque converter. All right, that's enough farting around. Let's get this motor inside the truck. Y'all want to watch me struggle with this thing, right? All right, let's roll the time lapse. Oh, yeah. It's in. It's in. All right, I call that a win. I am going to call it a day, and we'll pick this back up in the morning. Still have to run the motor mount, bolts in, and obviously there's a whole lot left to do. The transmission for now is resting on the motorcycle jack, which is just fine. We'll get the cross member up there tomorrow. But let's just, in the meantime, enjoy the win. So I've been spending the past couple of days putting this all back together, and it is really coming together nicely. I think right now my biggest challenge is remembering what I did with everything. That really starts with the wiring. I don't really know where all of these grounds go. I know that there's a chassis ground to somewhere back here. I'm not exactly sure where. Kind of figuring out where these goes. This is for the ignition coil and the starter wires. I'm going to go ahead and cinch those starter wires down because I would really like to put these manifolds on. Have not hooked up any of the vacuums save for one of these lines and the PCV. That's all stuff that I kind of have to relearn as I go. There's a couple of things here and there that I need to replace. I need to replace the hose clamps before I can hook up the radiator hoses. And got the motor mounts in, of course, with the old motor mounts. I've got the oil pressure sending unit reconnected. And just kind of going around little by little, trying not to get ahead of myself. Reconnected the throttle cable, but without a carburetor, I might have to disconnect this again in order to hook it up correctly. I've also got the fuel hooked back up. I haven't put the power steering back in yet because I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to replace these power steering lines. These hoses are just in not great shape. I have a feeling that it's just going to blow as soon as I hook it up. So I may just go ahead and replace both of those lines. I'm not putting the front clip on or the core support on until I know that this thing can start and run. Once I know that, then I'll put that all together and hook up the radiator and all that stuff. Which brings me to these transmission lines. There's no transmission fluid in there, and that is because underneath I have been doing a lot of work putting everything back together. So I replaced the transmission pan gasket, cleaned up the pan, and of course we have transmission fluid just spilled everywhere. So we're going to get new trans fluid in there, and everything's going to be all nice and neat. Another thing that I am having trouble with is I have to fix the shift linkage. Something came out, and I don't know what that thing is, but the linkage is all screwed up. So I need to get that all sorted. I'm not exactly sure what to do about that just yet. So I probably won't try to start this up until I can get that resolved. We also have the wire that runs from the transmission up to the truck, and I have no idea where it connects. I have no clue. No clue. So I'm not recording the progress on this because, well, this video is long enough. You watch me tear it all down. There's no need to watch me put it all back together. Really, because I'm taking a relaxed pace at this. I'm to the point where I'm now having a lot of fun. Everything's nice and clean, and I'm just kind of chilling, spending my weekend hanging out, working on my truck. And this is going really, really well. I just hope this thing runs when I go to start it. Well, I got to be honest with you guys. I have no idea where I left off with you because my job has kind of taken over my life for the past couple of weeks. And that's just the nature of tech. You need to live, eat, sleep, and breathe your job and do nothing other than your job. And that is what it means to be in the tech industry, just in case you are thinking about a career change. And so I have taken little bits of time here and there to work on the truck, but it's really just been literally a few minutes at a time, or at best a half hour. So it's not the kind of stuff that I can record because I don't even have enough time to organize my thoughts. I just have to work on what's in front of me. I did it to feel like I could do something other than write code. So let's just pick up the camera and I'll show you where I'm at right now and we can move forward with our lives. All right, you see here, I have put up the core support But unfortunately, I need to unbolt all of this because I ruined the bolts. Well, the bolts were already corroded for the core support bushings. The core support bushings were not in good shape. So I just went ahead and ordered new ones. Those will be in a few days. So I'm not going to touch the core support at all until I get those new bushings in. There's just no point. We have our new radiator in. I got this from the Zone. I got in the Zone and actually got a usable radiator for a change. None of it's hooked up. This is literally just plopped in just because I needed a safe place to store it. And the best place to store a radiator is where it belongs. So let's get to work. There's a lot of fun left to be had with this truck, and I am really looking forward to it, especially after such a long week doing my real job. I love working on this truck. It's actually a lot of fun. And the good news about this truck is that it's pretty much the same as a Camaro, only smaller. So now that I've gotten this far with this truck, I have a lot more confidence working on the Camaro because the Camaro is the exact same thing, only bigger. I've installed the carburetor, put in the upper and lower radiator hose, and I believe I've connected up all of the vacuum lines. I do have a little bit of a problem with the throttle cable. I don't have the little clamp that goes there. I have no idea where it is. I've looked all over for it, so I'm going to have to try to replace that. The vacuum lines are very, very, very confusing, but I'm not sure that I am concerned about that at this moment, especially given the throttle situation. As you can see, I have not hooked in any of the spark plugs or the coil. Another thing that I noticed, which is pretty much going to ruin my day, is I found this in the bed of the truck, which is probably a part of the manifold downpipe assembly. So I'm probably going to have to pop that header off and slip that thing on and put it back together. I got to tell you, I'm not at all interested in dropping that Y-pipe again, so I'm hoping that I can do it just with popping off the header. Obviously, I don't want to test fire it. I'm going to try to turn it over and just see what happens because I'm worried. Like, this scares me because I've done a lot of work and I've gotten so far, and you just don't know if it was successful until basically this moment. All right, I am, of course, recording this because anything could happen, and the last time I tried this, bad things happened. So we're going to turn the truck on, see if anything blows up. No? So far so good? Let's crank it just a little bit. Okay. Okay, nothing happened. All right, let's not set anything on fire. Well, I fucked up. This seems to be transmission related. The motor does not turn by hand. It does not turn with the starter. The motor turned before I put the transmission together, which means there's something wrong with the transmission. I'm thinking it's very likely that I put it together wrong and the torque converter is bound up on the transmission. I am not feeling good about that. But these are the things you learn. This is the first automatic transmission I've ever worked on, so I guess mistakes are normal. This is a part of the learning process, and I definitely learned the hard way here. I have the new flex plate in, and now that it is installed, I can see plain as day that the old one that I took out of there was bent to shit. So this one is looks really nice. It's even on both sides, and there is a noticeable gap on the back side of it. So I'm really hoping that this is the right one. I'm fairly certain it is. It looks like a match, and it bolted up really nicely. So I think we're good to go here. The thing that concerns me slightly is, well, this is the old torque converter, and I went ahead and got a new torque converter just to be safe, because I would hate to do all this work just to find out that I got a bad torque converter. And the replacement does not look quite the same. It actually looks a little bit bigger.
zone. AutoZone.
Yeah, these aren't even close. This might fit my Camaro. It is definitely not going in this little S10. God damn it. Okay, that's more like it. It's blue instead of green, but otherwise, it looks like it's going to be a match for our truck. So I have good news for a change. I got all of this, made it up correctly. The first step, obviously, was to seat the torque converter. And obviously, I didn't get it seated the first try. So what happened was I got it in, I started to bolt up the transmission, and then I realized I had the same gap on both sides, just like I did the first time around when I forced it in with an impact. So instead of forcing the bolts in with an impact this time, I had to take it all back out, drop the transmission again, and fidgeted with this torque converter until it seated way farther down. So it seated all the way in, and that's how I knew that it was going to go back together. After I did that, I reconnected the shift linkage, reconnected these awful, god-awful flare nuts, and put the transmission crossmember on so that the whole thing won't fall on my face. I got everything reconnected. The exhaust is on, the drive shaft is in, the transmission's hooked back up. I've also put the fan back on, the starter in. Everything is ready to go. We're back to where we were roughly a week and a half ago. So I'm going to try to start this again. And really, all I want to hear is the engine turn over. I also want to see some oil pressure building up on this oil pressure gauge. Do I have an oil pressure gauge? Let's see. Yes, we do. So once we know it's going to build pressure, then we'll shut it down and finish reconnecting everything so that we can get this thing to hopefully run. Let's try to start this thing up. I've got a fire extinguisher right next to me just in case I set this truck on fire for a third time. We are in park. Everything is turning on. Let's see if we hear anything happen. Okay. That didn't sound wonderful. Let's take the spark plugs out, and we'll put just a little bit of light oil in the cylinders and try this again. All right, one more try. We're building oil pressure. Yep, we're up to 60 psi of oil pressure. I got the spark plugs in. The spark plug wires are all connected. Coil is connected to the plug wires. And I have filled the radiator with distilled water. I'm going to put just a little splash, which probably means I'm going to dump it all over the engine. Yep, that means I'm going to dump it all over fucking everything. Awesome. This will be a little better. There. Okay. Well, ignition happened. While I was poking around at the fuel pump, investigating why I don't have any fuel, I noticed the smell of cooking plastic. So I came up here, unhooked the battery, and that's when I noticed my ignition coil is melted. And I later discovered that that's because I had this wire hooked into it. Now, this wire fits really nicely in this slot here, except this slot is for the tack, which this truck doesn't have. That obviously means that this wire doesn't go here. Where does this wire go? I have no idea, but it doesn't go there. Fortunately, that is not an expensive mistake. A replacement distributor coil, ignition coil, is only $27 from AutoZone with a lifetime warranty. So this is not a big deal. It's just unfortunate, and I almost set my truck on fire for the third time. Next, I want to figure out what the hell's going on with the fuel. So I believe I have an obstruction in the line. So the first thing I'm going to do is push some compressed air through and see if it bubbles up in the tank. And so I didn't want to give it all of the pressure because I didn't want to blow out the tank, but just that little bit, I heard it bubbling in the tank. So I know that if there was an obstruction, I hopefully cleared it. So now that we blew air through that side, let's pull fuel through. And we're going to do that using an electric fuel pump. I'm not seeing any fuel. Okay, so we may have an obstruction in the tank. We might have to drop the tank. So let's go ahead and lift it up. Upon closer inspection, look at how cracked these lines are. Wow, this is really bad. We are doing a good thing here. So I replaced all of the fossilized fuel lines and installed the new fuel sending unit. There's still the signal and the ground that I need to reconnect, and then we can begin testing. We have everything hooked back up again. We're ready to see if we could pull fuel through the system. I've decided to just remove spark from the equation altogether for now, because I'm fairly certain we are getting spark from our little bang that we heard earlier. Yes, we do. We've got oil. All right, now I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to see if we've got any fuel up there. I definitely smell fuel. We are getting fuel. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I can see it in the carburetor. Okay. We're probably flooded right now. So I'm going to take a break, give this like an hour or so to dissipate, and then we're going to come back and we're going to try it for real. Oh, yeah, I could definitely see it. Plain as day. This is top dead center. All right, that means our distributor is confirmed to be way off. I'm going to pop this off, reposition it, and we're going to give this another try. Nope. While I was researching the distributor problem, I came across this guy right here. This is the ignition control module, and it has been described as the single most common point of failure in any GM ignition anywhere. So given that we melted our ignition coil, and I mean we, not me, this was a group thing, not purely my decision. Given that we melted that ignition coil, and this is directly connected to the ignition coil, it was very likely that we fried it. So I went and got a new one. This is the new one. We're going to put it in the distributor, and we're going to see if today was a good day or a bad day. So I decided to take out my distributor and inspect more parts because we did have that melted ignition coil. It is reasonable to believe that I may have ruined some components inside of the distributor. So I decided to take it apart. I didn't walk you through it because I didn't know how to do it. I was clearly learning as I go. So here's what I ended up doing. See this little pin here? This little pin holds the gear on. Once you pop that little pin off with a punch, you can slide that gear off. So in my case, this gear needed a gentle tapping along the gear in order to slip off. Just enough to coax it. You don't want to wail on it because you definitely don't want to damage those gears. Once that came off, I was able to take the entire shaft out. Once the shaft came out, there was this little horseshoe clip that was holding on the distributor pickup coil assembly. And unfortunately, I got a little tiny chip somehow while I was removing that horseshoe clip. So that's a little bit of a bummer. So I took that out, and then from there, this thing was holding on the coil. And let's just take a look at the coil. This is the coil as it looked when I removed it. And if you can see, it does not look like the correct shape. It definitely looks like it may have been melted. Now, I'm no expert, but I think that's a bad thing. So let's go ahead and buy a new pickup coil, reassemble this distributor, and see what happens. All right, I'm not trying that again. I'm going to pull the carburetor just out of an abundance of caution. This is something that I was planning to do anyway, so I'm really not upset that I have to do it now. I got the carburetor back from Smith Brothers, and I'm really glad I took this to them. Not only does it look better than I could have made it, not only did they do a better job than I could have done it, but he said that it took their master mechanic something like 5 hours to rebuild this thing because it is insanely complex. So this saved me a lot of frustration, and the prices are beyond reasonable. They give me a bit of a friends and family discount because we trade favors back and forth. So in exchange for doing this, I'm getting some parts for his Prelude. So this is really just highlights the importance of building your own network. You surround yourself with really good people. You help each other out. And when they do something for you, you return the gesture. And it's hopefully going to pay off here. So there's one thing he left for me to do, and that was to replace the fuel filter here. And that was because, well, you need to bolt it in order to get leverage to remove the cartridge here. So once we bolt this thing onto the truck, we'll pop this off, replace the fuel filter, and hopefully get this thing back together, and maybe this truck will run. This is what a new fuel filter looks like. This is the fuel filter that came out of the truck. So regardless of the outcome here, I did a good thing. Okay, I did that again. That's a bad sign. Okay, this is a me problem. We know this now. So I've been trying to observe this truck and find a reason for this condition in every way that I could imagine. I've verified top dead center. I've verified that the valves are closed. I've verified that the distributor is in the correct position, but I'm still getting this geyser, this Mount Vesuvius of, is it Mount Vesuvius of, or is it Yellowstone of gasoline coming out of the carburetor. Science tells us that when the data doesn't make sense, check your observations. So I'm starting to think that when I set at top dead center, I'm actually not at top dead center on the compression stroke. Now, I did stick a bore scope in the cylinder, and I thought I saw that the valves were closed, but the lift on these motors is so little that maybe I was wrong. So I'm going to do something a little bit radical. I did the lazy equivalent of rotating the distributor around 180 degrees, and that is switch the spark plugs around 180 degrees. So instead of the spark for the number one cylinder being in position 1, I put the spark for number one cylinder being in position 4, and I've started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 around from there. So let's turn this thing over and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? The same fucking thing that we've been seeing over and over again? Yeah. Maybe a fire, but I've got 2 different fire extinguishers for that. That was unexpected. That is a running truck. A terribly running truck. What a running truck. Well, yeah, it sounds like a lawnmower, and there's a lot of work to do before this truck can hit the road, but it runs. So we're going to end it here on a win. Now, it's entirely possible, in fact, it's actually quite likely that this entire time the distributor was out 180 degrees. But in the process of that discovery, the things we found along the way were real problems that needed to be fixed. They weren't the cause of the issue that I was experiencing, but mark my words, they would have been major, major problems later on. Fuel lines that were just completely petrified, that fried distributor coil. These were all problems that needed to be fixed, and they weren't expensive either. So I was happy to do it, even though they ended up not being the cause of the problem that I was trying to diagnose. Still, there's a lot to learn from this experience, And I'm really happy to go into my next project with these lessons learned from this worthless truck. And maybe that next project won't be as worthless. Nah, I'm just kidding. All my projects are going to be worthless. So with that, if you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you don't like what you see, maybe you knew the distributor was flipped around backwards this entire time. I want to hear from you. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. God, that sounds terrible.